Hey everybody, welcome to Technical. Today is Titan XP release day, and if you think this is a video from 2016, you are sorely mistaken. Today we're going to go over all the basics, why you should have seen it coming, and most of all, why you shouldn't give a fuck about any of it. Okay, so let's go over the basics. GP102 is the silicon in question, and the original Titan XP, as we called it, was based on that silicon, but a slightly cut down version from what we knew to be the full fat version. 6 weeks prior to today, more or less, came the GTX 1080 Ti, which was based on the same silicon as the Titan XP version 1, but slightly upclocked with 1 less gigabyte of VRAM and some other minor things changed, but ultimately performed a little bit better again because of those clock speeds, out of the box at least. Overclock is a whole different story that we'll get into later. Fast forward to today, and we got the brand new Titan XP, fully unlocked, GP102, again, 12 gigabytes of VRAM, slightly upclocked, slightly faster, higher core clocks out of the box, all that bullshit. So once again, improved performance for the same original Titan XP price of $1,200, unlike the $700 1080 Ti. So I just got finished watching Jay's 2 cents video, and it kind of made me laugh a bit. I like Jay a lot. I think he's a good guy. He's really good at what he does. He is definitely representative of the top tier enthusiasts in terms of his love for custom water cooling and the absolute bleeding edge of performance. But I did find his reaction to this whole scenario to be a little bit humorous, and I'll tell you why. Now, for those of you who do not have goldfish memories, you will recall that a card called the Titan Black was released, whatever it was, sometime in 2014, I think, and was the end result of GK110, the big full-fat Kepler chip. But the history of GK110 is long and storied. It started with the original Titan, which was a slightly cut down GK110, and we knew it was cut down based on the block design diagram that showed us, there's some FMMs disabled here, something's afoot. And then of course the GTX 780 came out to consumers that was even more cut down, and we said, okay, that's fair. You have top-end premium Titan card for prosumers, and then you've got high-end graphics cards for consumers. It's okay that it's a little cut down, makes sense, less VRAM, all that business. But then when the 290 and 290X came out and trounced the 780 like a little bitch, NVIDIA pulled the trigger and put out full-fat GTX 780 Ti goodness to market and made everyone else look silly from the short term at least. Didn't last all that long, but anyway, I digress. But even that was still somewhat justifiable because the Titan originally, although it had fewer CUDA cores, did have twice the frame buffer, so there was like a little bit of a trade-off, I guess, depending on the application of the card. And then, of course, came the Titan Black, which trounced them all, and it was the 4th iteration of the same silicon, fully unlocked, 6 gigabytes of VRAM, all that goodness. Bottom line is, this is not NVIDIA's first rodeo, nor will it be their last. Some other examples of this engineering revamp that happens from time to time. The GTX 400 series to 500 series. It was Fermi architecture, and they said, wait a minute, we can do better. And then, of course, the process maturation kicked in at 40 nanometers, and they were just like, aha, here, we were just kidding with that GTX 480 stuff. Here's the real one. It's okay, buy this one, guys. I know you already bought the old one, just buy this one too. Sometimes it's not even a matter of that. Sometimes it's just almost a straight rebrand with higher clocks. Intel is guilty of this. Kaby Lake and Skylake are the same architecturally. There's no difference between them. Better yields, higher wafer utilization, and better electrical tolerance have enabled them to get more juice through their Kaby Lake processors and therefore more performance. AMD, of course, is guilty of this. I mean, in various capacities. Probably to the furthest degree because they've had to. Pitcairn has been recycled a bunch of times in various different iterations. So was Bonaire, and so was Tahiti, and so was Tonga and Hawaii. And every architecture they've ever slapped a name on has been reissued more than once. And my point is, that is the nature of silicon fabrication in the semiconductor industry. That is how it works in all facets. When it comes to DRAM, when it comes to NAND, anything that is made with silicon gets better over time, and the companies that harvest these products from these wafers are able to get more out of that wafer as time goes on and the process improves. Is it a shitty business practice to slow roll the public like this? Absolutely. But again, it's not like we haven't been slow rolled before. We've been basically slow fucked by all of these companies over and over again, just having our asses rubbed and massaged. And also, another point that I want to make very clear is that I understand why Jay was upset. He spent a lot of money on those graphics cards, and he, in most cases, would be justified in thinking that there should be longer than a 9-month gap between one flagship and another. But keep in mind, it's not a full fucking dethroning here. I mean, the Titan XP version 2 is certainly better than Titan XP version 1, but only by a sliver. We're talking about, at most, what will be about an 8 to 10% difference. If Volta had dropped earlier on a smaller process, and the rumor is that it's going to be on 10 nanometers, which would be unprecedented. Usually they get at least 2 architectures out of a single process. But if that is indeed the case, and that had happened today, Jay would be a lot more angry than that. 9 months is an incredibly small window for a graphics card to be on top of, even in the fast-moving industry of GPUs, which are, of course, parallel in nature and can be just shrunk down and scaled up to be better. And in a world like that, it's hard to stay on top for long. So take solace in the fact that your original Titan XPs are not completely useless. I feel a lot worse for the 980 Ti owners when the 1070 and 1080 came out, but even those people, what I used to tell them back in the day is like, hey, you paid good money for your 980 Ti so that you could get 1070 level performance today, as opposed to the rest of us schlubs who waited, saved a bit of money by waiting, but ended up getting that performance a full, whatever fuck it was, year and a half later. And therein lies the logic, the fuel that drives the entire engine, that is the enthusiast segment of the industry. But anyhow, with regards to how the brand new card is going to perform, it's pretty obvious that it will be better than the XP1, no question about it. As for how it stacks up against the 1080 Ti, it's kind of a mixed bag. So if you're one of the majority of people who just leaves cards at stock, which the majority of people do, although I certainly advocate for overclocking video cards, most people don't. And if you're just buying these two cards at stock, obviously the 1080 Ti is a much better price performance value. I don't even need to say that. But in terms of just raw performance, an AIB 1080 Ti left at stock will probably boost higher because of the improved cooling solution. It all depends on how GPU Boost 3.0 is going to react. It's not that Founders Edition cards don't boost high on their own. They do, but it's not necessarily a guarantee, and the fan has to ramp up considerably to keep those temperatures down, so you got to deal with more noise as well. And of course, if you are talking about overclocking, it's a bit of a different story. So if you're going to overclock with the stock cooler on the Titan XP, you're probably going to do okay. You're just going to have to run it really hard to keep temperatures somewhere where you feel comfortable, and that's not necessarily advisable, especially if you're doing something like increasing the voltage. But then again, someone who's spending $1,200 American dollars on a single graphics card, first of all, probably isn't just buying one. And if they are buying just one, or even if they're buying two, they're more than likely going to put it on a custom loop, because at that point, it actually becomes a fairly worthwhile investment. So ultimately, what does that mean? It means nothing for the average consumer. Nothing at all. This is completely predictable. We knew it was coming, and just like the Titan Black, which virtually nobody bought, ain't nobody gonna buy this card neither. And when I say ain't nobody gonna buy this card, I'm not talking about ain't nobody completely. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. We're talking about the overwhelming majority of you people at home that are sane and reasonable and look at a $1,200 graphics card and say, fuck that. Especially when you look at modern games and you compare very high settings to ultra settings, and you just go, why am I spending $600 more to go from this to this? It doesn't make any sense. So if you have a fucking brain in your head, this entire video that you just watched is completely useless to you. It doesn't even pertain to you. But I had to release it anyway, just in case there was one out of the 6,200 of you that subscribed to me that was thinking, maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the one I'll take the dive on. This is the card. Wait the fucking year. Wait for the next iteration of the X70 card to come out and make the Titan XP look stupid, and buy that for $400. Much better investment if you want something that's close to the bleeding edge of awesome performance. Anyhow, rant over. Subscribe, comment, and like. Go and ride your fucking bike. I'm gonna turn off the mic, and I'll see you in the next one.